Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to dive into clay bar, whether or not it's worth it, when to do it, and I think most importantly and most overlooked, what to do after you've clayed the vehicle. So my thought process behind clay bar is I don't so much think it's important to clay bar the car. I think the important part is how you handle the vehicle after you've clay barred it. I think that clay barring is a step before putting some sort of protective wax, sealant, or coating on the vehicle. A lot of people think that clay bar is a end step, and it's just not. It's part of a larger process of protecting the vehicle. And when it comes to answering the question of how often should it be done, ideally, never. You want to do it as little as possible because you are taking a small abrasive piece of clay and rubbing it on your paint. Now, it definitely does more good than harm when it comes to removing contaminants, but you still want to minimize that stuff. So using it as a means to an end is more important than using it as an end result. I think that if you clay bar a car and protect it once a year could be overkill. If you get a 2-year wax, maybe you can go a couple of years between clay bars. It really depends on how contaminated the vehicle is. So we'll take a closer look at what we're working on today and try and talk you through how to make the best call. So the two different methods we're going to test here is the normal, what you would jump on Amazon and buy. If you just typed in clay bar, something like this would come up. Little clay blocks. You're generally encouraged to use a lubricant with this. I'm not a big believer in that. See, it even says use Adams Detail Spray as lubricant. I think you can use the soap that's on the car after the wash to save money and save time. And then this synthetic clay mitt. I personally think these are much better than the traditional clay bars. If you drop the clay bar in dirt, grime, you're throwing it away. There's no way to work the dirt out of it. This, if you're using a traditional 2-bucket method, which we normally do, you're going to see it's much easier if you drop this to actually rinse it off, clean it off, and reuse it. Surface area, much bigger. And I think you can get a lot more done a lot more quickly with the clay mitt. When we're done with the clay bar, we'll make sure that we protect the car afterwards with a coat of wax. That way it's protected against the elements. Right now it is 7 degrees outside. And so there's ice, snow, salt all over the road. So we're gonna make sure we fight that as good as we can. Okay guys, we are finished with the wash and pre-clay treatment of the BMW here. What we did was we used a shampoo called Clean Slate, which is made by Chemical Guys. That is meant to remove any waxes, sealants, and conditioning shampoos from the paint. So theoretically right now we're dealing with bare paint. So I just wanted to give you a before. I'm gonna do the passenger side of the hood with a traditional Adams like molded clay bar. And I'm gonna do the right side of the hood with the synthetic, holy shit. I'm gonna do the right side of the hood with the synthetic clay mitt that I purchased. The clay mitt, the only difference in usage that I do, I like to keep it in a bucket of clean water. With the traditional clay, you kind of massage it and fold it over on itself to get rid of the contaminants, where the clay mitt, you need to actually rinse it off. So I like to keep that in a bucket of clean water. I'll have that nearby as I'm working, but just wanted to give you some before shots of the hood so you could kind of see the quality. What I've noticed real quick, one, this is a commuter car. It's got some rust on it. It's got some paint chips in it, but primarily we're seeing a lot of tar. We'll see if you guys can see this stuff. Little specks of tar here, here, here. The paint just all over. This has a decent level of contamination. Kind of the ideal situation where you would really want to clay a car. There's some more. The whole car is kind of just covered in it. You know, here's some of the rust spots we're going to steer clear of. But there's just small pieces of tar all over it. So now I'm going to contradict myself immediately. I don't like using synthetic clay lube. It's 9 degrees outside. Usually I would use the leftover soap from the wash to facilitate cleaning the car with the clay bar. No way. I'm inside right now. It's warm, it's cozy. I got the little kerosene heater pumping out, 60 degrees in here. I got my music playing. I'm using clay lube. There's a time and a place for it. Generally speaking, you can save a lot of money by not buying it, not using it, but it's 9 degrees outside. I don't know if you guys can see. It's cold. Immediate reaction from the synthetic mitt, it was much louder. One, it's a little bit more rigid than the bar. Two, a lot more surface area. Now, I think the clay mitt did a really good job in lifting the surface bonded contaminants. However, it wasn't perfect. It left behind some silhouettes of some tar spotting. We avoided our rust spot. But I think overall it did a better job than the traditional clay. Traditional clay left behind quite a bit of surface bonded contaminants, in my opinion. And for the amount of time it took, I realize I didn't time it, so this is a crappy comparison, but I feel like the synthetic mitt was a little bit more effective in lifting it. So, and you have the option to use whatever you want. Me personally, if you're doing detailing for a business and you're trying to be profitable at it, I think an important part of profitability is efficiency. So when it comes to getting things done quickly, I think the clay mitt has a huge advantage over the traditional clay bar. And cost-wise, that mitt is reusable. If you keep it clean and in a Ziploc bag when you're storing it, you could probably do 20 cars with it. Where a traditional bar, you know, you can split the bar in half and probably do one car with a half a bar. So I think the value is definitely there with the mitt, but I don't know. Jump into the comments and let me know what you guys think. Some of you guys have been professionally detailing for years and years and never used the mitt. I'm sure some of you have some different opinions, so let me know what you guys think. So I didn't film it because I forgot to hit record, but clay bar is finished. We did put a protective sealant, a 12-month sealant on the car. It turned out really, really nice. The synthetic clay mitt made a big difference. It moved a lot of the surface bonded contaminants. So we're gonna move on to the interior of this car. I'm not gonna film a ton of it because the owner pre-cleaned it before they brought it over here. So I'm really just gonna vacuum and dust it real quick, which isn't super exciting, but we'll pull it outside here. The sun is shining, so we'll get some after shots. And I think it warmed up to a balmy 21, 22 degrees outside. So that'll be just tropical. So